Hi, welcome to Dial a Teacher. My name is Dimmit Standley. This is Science Night, and we will be sharing a lesson with you that celebrates Earth Week. But before we begin our lesson, we want you to know that if you'd like to participate in today's program, you can call Dial a Teacher at 995-2111. But be patient, and we'll try to get to everyone. Dial a Teacher program is usually broadcast on Cable Tap Channel 37 from 6 to 7 p.m. And we're also simulcast on WLRN TV Channel 17 from 6 to 6:30 on Monday through Thursdays during school nights. Remember, if you need help with any of your homework, you can call us at our homework hotline. That number is 995-1600, and we're available from 5:30 to 8:30 p.m. every night. Now, tonight's lesson is in celebration of Earth Week, and it's one of the issues that is very, very important. And we're going to first discuss a word that was not even in a dictionary that's very old. I looked to see if some of the older dictionaries would even have this word, and they don't. And so I think we're going to have a caller help us with this first word. Hi, do we have a caller?
Yes.
What's your name?
Tanya.
And what school do you represent?
Homestead Middle.
Great. What grade are you in?
7th.
Good. I have a word up on the board, and I'd like for you to read it with me, if you would.
Mm-hmm.
What is this?
Biodiversity.
Almost. Biodiversity. So would you say it again?
Biodiversity.
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 You got it. Okay, and what does it mean?
A great number of species of organisms in a given area.
Okay, let's go back to this word. This is, it's species. Species instead of spices, okay?
Yes.
You know what species are?
Creatures.
Creatures. That's good. Yeah, that's what they are. It can be plants, can be animals. Every living thing is a particular species. I'd like for you to read the rest of this, okay?
Mm-hmm. Tropical forests, rivers, and coral reefs have greater biodiversity than temperate, okay, temperate or Arctic regions.
Good. You know what this means?
Mm-hmm.
What's tropical mean?
It's like the forest or something.
Where would I find a tropical forest?
I don't know.
North or south?
North and south.
Which one? North or south?
South.
South, right. And if we compare tropical stuff to temperate, which is colder, and Arctic is much colder, these have greater. See this? The tropical ones have greater. Tropical rivers, tropical forests, and coral reefs are all tropical. They have more. Now I want you to read a word that's the opposite of biodiversity. It's an opposite.
Monoculture.
Monoculture.
One species usually on a farm.
Okay, let's talk about that for a minute. Have you ever heard of a farmer planting just one crop?
No.
They do sometimes. A lot of times it might even be a type of tree, like pine trees. They might have many, many acres and acres of just one species of pine tree. That's called a monoculture. Or a farmer might have just one type of corn for miles. Okay, that's a monoculture. There's not any diversity, not much diversity at all between, because usually they're very, very similar. Every one of the ones is the same. Do you know what cloning is?
No.
Have you heard of that word lately?
No.
Okay, a lot of people are talking about cloning. It's when you make an identical copy of somebody or an animal. They made an identical copy of one sheep. And so they made one, took some of her chromosomes out of one of her cells and put it into an egg and let it grow, and what they get is an exact duplicate. That's cloning.
Mm-hmm.
Some people think it'd be interesting to clone people.
Yeah.
Like if we could make 50 of you. Think that'd be interesting to have a whole class full of kids all exactly like you?
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to think about, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, what we're talking about tonight are the benefits of biodiversity, which is not being alike, where everyone is different, instead of something that's all of them the same. There are advantages to having a biodiverse environment. Do you know what those advantages might be?
I don't know.
Okay, I want you to think about it, okay? Because there are a lot of advantages to having a biodiverse community.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and I hope you'll call me back in a little while when you think about it. Okay? Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
I think we have another caller who can help us.
Oh,
Hi, what's your name?
Jason.
And what school do you represent?
Nautilus Middle School.
And what grade?
7th.
Good. Now we're talking about biodiversity and monocultures and cloning. Now, these are two extremes. Biodiversity has lots of variety, genetic variety, many different species. Cloning, you got just one species. Monoculture, just one species. Why might it be bad if you have just one species around?
Because then if they die, there's no more.
Okay.
Or
And
if
what
they're
could cause,
extinct.
you're right, you're on the right track. What could cause them to die?
Pollution,
Okay.
no water,
Uh-huh.
no food.
All right. But one of the things that happens when all of them are the same is they respond to some environmental influence like pollution or no water the same. They're all the same. So if there's no variety in them, if all of them are genetically the same, if one bad thing like a disease comes around, they all die. But if they're all a little different, then some will make it and some won't. So you still will have some creatures around even when things get tough, like pollution, like changes in the weather, changes in all sorts of things. So there's an advantage in having a biodiverse environment. Where do you think could you name a place you might find a very biodiverse environment?
The rainforest.
Exactly. In fact, it's probably the most biodiverse place in the world. There are a couple places in Peru that have been designated as probably the most biodiverse in the world. And it's a rainforest. You know what kind of creatures make up the most of the animals?
In the rainforest?
Yeah.
The birds.
You'd think so, but it isn't. There are an
Fish.
awful lot of birds, you're right. But what would be even far more than that?
Trees.
Well, there are a lot of kinds of trees, that's true.
People.
Far more, no. We're all one species, people are.
Uh,
We have different races, but we're all just one species. What kind of creature do you think would be the most diverse in a rainforest?
Alligator.
Nope, there are only a couple species of alligators. Insects.
Flies.
Not just flies, but beetles and wasps and ants
Mosquitoes.
and all kinds of creatures. Insects are tremendously diverse, thousands of types. We think that we probably don't even know all the different types there are. They're still looking for new types. They find new ones every day. New ones, brand new species no one's ever seen before. That's very diverse, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, would you work with me for the next poster?
Sure.
Okay, I would like for you to read this one for me. Okay, go ahead, Jason.
Species, a category of biological classification ranking immediately below genus.
Genus is different from genius. Okay, this is genus. It's just a group. Okay.
Comprising related organisms that breed and produce fertile offspring in a natural environment.
Okay, this is kind of a long definition. Can you give me an example of a species?
Humans.
Oh, right, we're a species. And every human right now on this planet is in the same species. And can you give me an example of another one?
Fish.
Well, just saying the word fish, there are many species in fish. You have to give me a specific one.
Sharks. Great white.
Great white. Now you've got a species. Before you said that, but when you said shark, there are many kinds of sharks. But when you say great white, that's one particular species. We're describing one kind. Now, you know what the word genus means?
As in their genes? Like
You'd think
personal
so.
hygiene?
It's not exactly. It's a category. Do you know what sets and subsets are?
No.
Okay. If we have a category, let's say we have all the animals in the world are in this group.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
You break them down.
You're right, break them down. This whole thing here is the kingdom called animals, right? And then we could subdivide that and subdivide it. Well, one of the subdivisions is going to be genus. Okay, we've got this category inside here now, and this is a genus, and under the genus there might be several species. You know what your genus is?
No.
Okay, our whole
Human
name.
beings.
Say again?
Human beings?
Well, that's what our common name is, but our name is really Homo sapiens. Have you heard that before?
Oh yeah.
It means wise man. Okay? And so right now there are no more. Our genus is Homo, which doesn't mean it means mankind. There's another one that means same. All right, but this one is if this is the genus of ours, we're the only living one right now, but there used to be others that would be in this category too. If this is us, there used to be others. Homo habilis used to be, used to exist, no longer. And there are a couple of others that were in the same genus as us, but they no longer live. Okay? So now do you see what I mean by genus and
Yes.
species?
Yes.
Species is just a subcategory of genus. Okay? Okay, you did very well with that.
Okay, bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Now I'd like to show another example relating to species. In this case, I'd like to have a chart, and let's take a look, a graph, and let's take a look at this graph. I think I may have a caller that can help me. Hello?
Hello?
What's your name?
Kurt?
And what school do you represent?
Nautilus?
Good. What grade?
8th?
Good. Now, today we're going to look at this chart, and I want you to see if you can I want you to predict. First, we're just going to look at it, and then I'm going to give you some possible examples. Remember a minute ago, I gave you the definition for biodiversity, and I said there are greater numbers of species in the tropics than in temperate or
Cold.
Arctic regions, right?
Yeah.
Which one of these numbers on here represents the tropics? If this is latitude, you know what latitude is?
Side to side.
Okay, what does that mean?
Up and down.
Well, on the Earth, we're going to take a look at the Earth now. Let's take a look at that, and I think this will help you. Okay?
Yeah.
Let's take a look at this globe. Now, 0 degrees is right here on the equator. You think it's warm there or cold?
Warm.
It's warm. Okay, so this is where the tropics exist, on either side of the equator, or the warm regions of the world. So these are the tropics. And what my definition a minute ago is talked about biodiversity being far greater in this region than in temperate. Temperate is an area above the tropics here or
Below.
it, but not quite to the poles. And then Arctic and Antarctic are going to be at the poles, right?
Yeah.
Now they're going to be quite cold. Why do you think I might have fewer species at the poles?
Because it's not warm enough
Right.
for others to exist.
Some things can, right?
Yeah.
Okay, but not everything.
Right.
You have to be pretty tough. You usually have to be pretty fat. Fatter animals do better.
Like polar bears?
Right, they're really fat. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's the animals that can put on like a penguin,
Yeah.
they're really chubby. And that gives them an advantage, where animals that are kind of slim, they just don't make it. They can't keep their body warm enough. So it's easier to live in the tropics, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, and one of the things that happens here too that allows for diversity is that because you don't have that winter every year, winter sometimes kills off a lot of animals. They just can't get enough to eat during the winter time. They either have to hibernate or fly someplace else
Yeah.
or migrate. Here, the weather's good all year long, so they can stay alive, and so that it's not as stressful. Make
Yeah.
sense?
Very
So
much.
if you now are looking at this and you've decided that the tropics is here the equator, right?
Yeah.
Here in the middle. This is 0 degrees. And as I go toward the North and South Pole, we get fewer. Now, I'm going to show you 4 graphs and have you pick which one you think is going to be the correct one, okay?
Okay.
Let me put this up for you. Well, first of all, let me tell you what this says. This is latitude, right?
Yeah.
And this is number of species.
Yeah.
So we want to know how high the number of species are going to be at each latitude.
Okay.
Now, let's take a look at this chart, and I have 4 possibilities, A, B, C, and D.
Yeah.
And let's see what that would look like. In each case, I have marked the equator, okay?
Yeah.
And this north will going to be on the left, south will be on the right in each case. And as the higher you would get up here would be the greater number of species. The closer it is down at the bottom would be the fewer. What would this diagram mean?
That would mean it's all the same survival rate.
It means that does it mean that
That means